Hey, what's going on? Ronin Man here. We're going to do something new here. We're watching a drifting video that Chime Time took, and I'm going to put it here so you can watch it. And he's going to talk about like how to drift and what it is. You know, a lot of times you see a sport and you don't really know what it's about if you haven't done it. But when you hear the insides of it, even if it's very technical, it's quite interesting, you know. I had a friend when I was home, and I grew up with him surfing, right? We were standing on the beach, you know, and he was like, we were at this beach club where I grew up as a kid, and I asked him, like, what do you think the waves are going to be like tomorrow? And he went into this fucking PhD level. I'm serious. Like, this is oceanography he was talking about. It was, like, really very detailed, very subtle, full of possibilities. If this happens, then that's going to happen. And I could not believe it. Like, I literally looked at him like he was joking. I'm like, because I haven't seen him in 30 years, right? Or maybe 35 years. And this is the way we used to talk. But he's been doing this now for 35 more years as an adult, surfing every morning before work, surfing every night. And he's quite smart, right? So he spent 35 years of learning about surf. And so he sat there and he gave me this like total rundown on what the waves are going to be like tomorrow. And I said, dude, I got to film it. So I filmed it. But unfortunately, I filmed it with an old camera. And so it was like a real old, when, you know, cell phones first had cameras. So it was an old camera. It was like I think it was before iPhone. So it was like some shitty video. So it was useless. But I realized, like, it was kind of fascinating because I thought, man, that would be me if I would have stayed in San Clemente. You know what I mean? I would have been, that would be me. I'd be exactly like this, like my friend, you know? And it was nothing bad. I mean, it was he lives a great life. Like, his life is fucking great. Surf is great there. Like, being a surfer, they surfing every day. Fuck. I mean, like, really? You're in killer shape. You're mentally sharp. It's fun. You're always interested. It's the guys who stop surfing, who get fat, who stop surfing, that become landlubbers. Those are the guys who get depressed, you know? The surfers who are out there every day, every morning, 4:30, whatever, getting their board on, getting their wetsuit on, it's freezing cold. They're out there. Those are the guys. I go home and they're always just like, it's almost like it doesn't matter that I traveled a lot and they didn't. Like, both of us, exactly same vibe. We're totally into it. They're like, we got to go today. They're all excited. They're like, today it's going to be popping over there. You know, we got to get there. Don't bring that board. I got another board. You know, and so in that kind of spirit, I wanted to kind of get, you know, what is drifting, right? Because I've seen drifting, obviously, a lot, but I don't really know. I don't really understand it, because it's like looking at some animal in the ocean that you've never seen before. To me, you know, because like before drifting, there was nothing like drifting, right? There was racing, there was drag racing, there was funny cars, there was Le Mans, there was like long races, but there was nothing. There was guys doing wheelies on motorcycles. You know, there was that kind of tricks. There was guys doing, I used to do wheelies and backwards wheelies with my front tire. You know, that kind of stuff, tricks, stuff like on a motorcycle. There was jumping over cars, right? But there was nothing like drifting. And I remember when drifting came out, I didn't really get it, even though I was in Japan. And actually, I used to stay in Ibaraki sometimes, and right next to a famous drifting place. And I would hear them all night. I would just hear like this sound I listened to all night. It was hard to sleep. It was so noisy because it was near the place we stayed. And I remember thinking, like, what is this drifting thing? And nobody ever explained it to me, and I never was in a drift car. So I just wanted to, with that as the intro, I wanted to hand it over to Chime Time, and we'll ask him some questions. And what is this drifting thing, man? Guys, one more thing. Guys fucking love hobbies. Stuff like this. Like, not hobbies. I don't like hobbies. Things that they're into. Guys are into shit. They have life in them still. They're not dead like the fucking rest of society who sits in Starbucks and reads about the latest politics. You know, like, they actually care about certain things. So I know Chime Time definitely cares about drifting. So what the fuck is this drifting thing?
Okay, so a little bit of backstory. I've been working as a media person at a local racetrack where I grew up at in New Jersey, and I've been filming drift cars for over 10 years, like roughly around 2009-ish. So what is drifting? Drifting is funny. It's remarkably similar to surfing. In the sense that you're sliding a car, kind of riding the wave. you want to put the car in the right place. Like when you're surfing, you paddle out and you want to get up on the board at the right time. Right. What drifting is you're going around a track and you want to position your car like on the wave, kind of in the right place, be in the right form and posture, so that you could like maximize your angle and speed and make as much smoke as you can. And when you're doing it with another person, like a second car, you're drifting in tandem. So you're kind of like setting the person up behind you to follow you, right?
Let me explain something about surfing and see what you think. Okay, so for example, with surfing, it's not like a power move like people think. They think when you get up, you're going to like turning hard, right? It's the exact opposite. It's like you're looking for a little, you're look down at the water, you're looking down your feet, and you're looking for the little vein of power. Like where is the water moving? And you're trying to like agilely moving the board, trying to follow that thing. You're not pushing it. It's not your physical body pushing it. It's not your power. You're looking for the power in the wave, and you're trying to like just twist like a fish on that power. And then you find it, and then you get speed, and then you want to use that to do something, right? But then as soon as you finish that move, you're right back into like no power. Like you're trying to find that power. You're trying to get it. You're trying to use. You're looking for. You're not making the power. You're just begging for the power. Like, please, for me, find this thing. Where is this thing? And then you start to catch it, and you start to feel that you're in the groove, And then the speed comes up, and then you're like, it slows down, right? So it's always that kind of. It's that thing where that's why guys that are super lightweight, that are wrestlers, are good at it. So is it like that where you're finding that groove, or is it, because to me it looks like you're like, I can see it when you're sliding, but you're also over. What is it? Is there any similarity there?
It's a little bit of all of that, because you're like, it doesn't matter how much power you have, really. It's that you're looking on the road course that you are, like, where the turns are, for that sweet spot when to kick the rear end out. Right? And you want to do it at like kind of a certain speed. I mean, you don't really need a lot of power to get up to speed, but you got to kick it. You got to kick the rear end out once you hit that certain spot, because you're setting your car up to go around one corner. And if you're drifting continuously around a track or series of turns, every corner you go around, you got to set yourself up for the next corner. So it's like when surfing, you're kind of on one wave. Like drifting, it's like wave after wave, and you kind of hop.
There's many corners in the wave. Oh, there's many corners. Yeah. Oh, that's what the wave is. It's like full of corners, essentially. What you're talking about, corners. Yeah, like the wave is not consistent. The surfing pool waves are, but the ones in the ocean are. There's little power here. There's no power there. There's little power there. It's like it's a little thicker here. It's a little shorter there. It's a little taller there. It's a little more mushy here. It's a little more barreling over here.
Yeah, so you carve back into it.
So you're having to adjust your strategy based on the wave. What is there? Like, you're looking at the wall, and you're like, that has no power. So you're trying to hit the powerful part, and then maybe turn on the less powerful part, and then what I mean. And then it's like a track or something. You're trying to find those spots, right? So each one is like a corner you're talking about. Yeah. Because each one, you hit a corner, and then you've done it, and then you got to get ready for the next one, because the next one's going to be totally different, because the wave now has got changed. Each time is totally changed, right?
Yeah, probably like something to do with the ocean floor.
No.
Or just like how the water is coming
in. It's inherently unstable, because it's the ocean, right? It's just like you got the bottom of the ocean, you got the top of the ocean, you got wind. It's just like, it's a mess, right? And that's why it's so hard. It's so incredibly, surfing is, I think it's the most difficult sport. Like, I still suck at it. I've done it my whole life, but I still suck. Like, and I'm just like always looking at it, trying to figure it out, and it's just like, it's hard. I think that's maybe what makes it interesting, is it's so fucking hard.
Yeah, like, so drifting is difficult in the sense, very similarly, because you're setting yourself up for corner after corner after corner, and it's like a lot of precision, because if you screw up at any point, you're gonna have to like kind of compensate for the next corner. So like if you run the same line and the same speed and do everything perfectly, you'll go through the whole course, with ease. But if you screw up at any one area, you got to try harder or do something, unique or out of the ordinary to kind of get back into the groove.
What is the feeling? This is what I'm wondering. When you're going into the drift, when you're spinning out, the back tires are sliding out. Like, what is going on in your mind? You got to go back when you were learning, right? Think about what's going on in your mind, and then when you fuck it up, what happens then? Like, what do you see as the driver? What do you feel?
Initially, what goes through my mind before I like start a drift is like, am I going fast enough to carry myself through this corner? Or am I going too fast that I'm going to wash out and kind of go off track or into a wall? So those are the things I'm thinking about the most, and that could be like the most distracting. But eventually, like, you kind of get used to it, like for how like long of a distance the turn is. You kind of like get used to, oh, this is the speed I got to go to get me through that kind of corner.
Are you slamming on the gas and turning the wheel? Or what's going on when you...
Sometimes, like
to go into a corner, describe that. How do you do your first drift?
So, like, I'll steer into the corner and then kind of, like, steer away from the corner and then steer back into it.
Okay.
And that kind of, it destabilizes the car enough that you lose a little bit of grip going into the corner, but you still have enough grip that you could steer the car.
So you go into the corner, away, and then back.
Mm-hmm.
It's the away that makes it happen, right?
Yeah, because like you kind of wiggle the rear end loose.
You wiggle the rear end loose, and then you hit the gas?
You're hitting the gas the whole time, and that's kind of what creates...
Oh, the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. You're on the gas.
You're hitting the corner hard.
Yeah.
Then you're going out of control. Then you're going back in, and that's okay. I get it.
Yeah. You just wiggle it loose.
I get it. So it's not. I was thinking like you slide, and then you hit the gas, but that doesn't make any sense.
Well, you can. No, you really can. Like, so say you want to go into the corner extra quick. And you don't need to go any more quick. You could like let off the gas and then do that wiggle thing, and then the car will start sliding sideways. And then once the car starts to slow down, then you could kind of hit the gas. Like
that's if you have a fast car.
Yeah, that's not if you have a fast car, but if you're going like super quick or maybe even too quick and you want to like kind of slow down, you don't need like any more gas. Or if you throw like extra angle at it, it'll slow you down a bit more. Like you'll reduce speed, like the more angle you throw at that corner. And
what's a pussy move? When you look at these, like some guys are just pussies generally, and they're gonna do something that everybody that is a drifter will know that he's taking the pussy route. What is that? And what's the badass move?
I mean, like, people are going to dislike me for saying this, but, like, pussy move is using your emergency brake.
Perfect. People should hate it. Someone's got to hate it.
Like, don't use your emergency brake. Just use the steering wheel. That's all you really need. And the gas pedal. Like, you could slow down the car with more angle. And, I mean, you could also use the regular brake. You know, I respect that way more than using the emergency brake. I feel like when I'm drifting, I have so much going on in front of me that reaching for the emergency brake is like kind of complicated, and it's too much stuff for my right hand to be doing. So like I mean, it's cool that like some people are capable of doing that and utilizing it, but I feel like it's unnecessary and there's other ways around it.
It sounds like cheating. It sounds like cheating. You know, when you back the back wheels, they're going to spin, right? They're going to go sideways.
Yeah, it's confusing.
You're locking them up.
It's not as much cheating as it is like, oh, that's lame, like,
okay.
In my opinion. And people are going to shit on me. They're going to be like, oh, well, it's probably harder to do it the way that you're doing it. And I'm like, that way, it does feel like a cheater way, like using your e-brake.
Hearing you, I fucking totally can. I can already see it. I agree. I can tell you. Even, I've never drifted. I can just tell right away I would not be using the brake. Now, okay,
or like the emergency brake or the parking brake.
I get it. Oh yeah, I've had guys pull it on me, just driving, But okay, so what is the difference between a good driver, like a drifter, and that guy that just got it? Some people just fucking have it instinctually.
So like,
because like surfing, definitely there's that instinctual thing, and I did not have it, and so it always sucked because I never had that instinctual thing that could make me a great surfer. It was impossible for me to be a great surfer. It would never happen, no matter how much I practiced. I would never be a great surfer, ever, right? I would never even be a super competitive surfer because I don't have whatever that is, and I know it, and that's fine. And yeah, but it's intangible. It's fucking intangible, this thing I'm talking about,
Okay, so there's like two things that go into this. Now, what I've been telling you so far is like me drifting alone, because I don't tandem drift or drift with others. So like what I'm going to tell you is not from experience per se of me doing it, but I film these guys all the time and I know who looks good and who doesn't. Like the camera doesn't lie. And what goes into making like a really good drifter is like when it takes two, basically. Like two people are drifting together at the same time. If it's going to come out looking any good, they kind of got to work together. or one of them kind of has to know what the other one is doing and kind of compensate for that, whether it's, like, or basically drive their car according to the other driver. But like being in that driver's head or seeing what their car is doing and then kind of positioning your car for that. Now, like a good lead driver that's super talented won't go too quick. We'll kind of like know the speed that the person, like how capable the car behind you is, and not run away from them, or kind of like drift in a way that you give them space for them to fit without like throwing them off, like not slowing down too much, not like transitioning in like a weird way where the person behind them has no space to kind of transition as well. Like don't transition too early, don't transition too late, like finding those sweet spots. And then like a talented person who's following, can see that the person ahead of them is setting them up to transition in a certain spot, like doesn't run into them, or if they see if the person is like slowing down too much, like give them some space, or like, or don't be on top of somebody in a situation where if they screw up, you guys are both gonna like wash out, or the cars are gonna be completely wrecked. Like these guys are your friends, you're gonna be around them forever. There's only one track, you can't make any enemies, and you don't want to piss anybody off. So like you don't want to wreck into somebody. Okay. And if you do wreck into somebody, you want to like kind of minimize it. You don't want to do like a stupid move, especially if it's on camera, like no pressure, guys. And that's kind of what makes a good drifter. Like there's competitive drifting, like kind of what I'm talking about is more like the exhibition thing. Like how sweet and good and cool can you make it? Right, is basically what I'm describing as a good drifter.
Surfing, you're talking about the difference. This is the debate in surfing is the style guys and then the performance guys. Mm-hmm. And so the performance, it was all about style. The Hawaiians invented surfing, right? The Hawaiian King and all these guys. Then they were style. They were all about style. And then the Australians came in, and there's a great movie, I forget the name of it. Fucking great movie. I'll find it. I'll put it below. But it's about how the Australians came in the 70s and they took the world title. They kind of like took over surfing with performance. So now, but they were ballsy too. That's the thing. You got to be ballsy. Surfing, you can't just surf small waves. You can't just surf big waves. And now it's very competitive. You can't just have style and you can't just have performance. You got to have it all. You got to be able to ride a 6-inch wave if that's the conditions for the contest, and you've got to be able to somehow get some speed up and get some turns in, and do something with that little fucking wave, right? And then you've also be able to take out when no one else, everyone's scared shitless, and it's just absolutely grinding Chaupu in Tahiti, where it's a wave, it's like 3 feet thick, and people are dying, people are drowning, places like Jaws, and people are drowning all the time, right? And you're taking off way fucking deep, right? And you can totally control your fear. And you can go, and at the same time controlling your fear, you're at top performance, absolutely peak performance. One mistake and you're not going to make it, that wave. And so that was the thing in the 70s. Was the Hawaiians basically were like, it's all about style, and we were Hawaiian basically. California was Hawaiian style. We didn't know it, but like if you look at our like any of the, even the architecture, it's like tiki from the, like South Pacific and Hawaii, and people were wearing. Hawaii is a big thing. Like now when I go home, it's so obvious. It's all Hawaii stuff everywhere in my hometown. Everybody doesn't even recognize it. They think it's from there, but actually it's from Hawaii. Right? So a lot of the, and the surfing too. The surfing style was, all my friends before leashes was invented. We surfed without leashes, right? Where if you fall off the board, it goes all the way into the shore. And then when you put a leash on your leg, then you can be a shitty surfer because the board's going to come back to you. And so a lot of people were anti-leash, right? They're like, fuck these leashes. These guys can't surf, right? If you really can surf, you're going to be able to drop in and control the board all the way to the end and cut out, and your board's with you, right? But when you went performance surfing, all of a sudden it was leashes, and it was just like guys were, so it changed everything. And that debate continues even on today, and everybody has a different opinion on it. Like secretly, everybody it's almost like a 1 to 100 graduation of how much you're win this way or that way, right? Which one you really, and you can tell it in who you idolize or who's your favorite surfer, because that guy's going to have style. He's either going to be a little bit this way or a little bit that way, right? And so now we know, so I get exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. The performance, and then so the dynamic of the duo is more like the Hawaiian style. It's all about looks. Not looks in the bad way, in the artistic way. Like the guy drops in, his shoulders are back, like Michael Ho, right? He just drops in, he's like, his shoulders are back. He's just like Derek Ho, his brother. They're sitting there in the waves, just like fucking massive, right? Like everybody would be totally stiff and just like this. And they're just like, yeah, man, just coming down the wave, just pulling, and it just looks so cool, it looks so fucking cool, especially if you can do a hard turn like that, where you look like, it's like the guy who didn't study for the test who gets the A, right? That's that kind of thing. That was a Hawaiian style, right? So yeah, I know what you're saying. So the only way you can really ramp it up to the kind of best of drifting is 2 people, 2 cars, right? And those 2 cars are together,
or even 3 cars, 4 cars. Like they make these trains. Yeah, it's really cool looking.
I totally agree with that, and I think that's life too, because there's people like there's drummers who play drums by themselves almost. You know what I mean? They can't play in a band because they're just like by themselves almost. And like there's other guys who can play in a band, right? And like that's what it's all about. I think is the ability to play in a band. Can you play in a band, in a group, right? Where you're all kind of watching out for each other, you're looking at each other, you're competitive, but at the same time that's not the main thing. The competitiveness drifts away in the competitiveness of the group, because if your group wins, you win, right? If the group loses, then you're just competing on your own. Like there's much more power in a group. There's a lot of power in like, for example, we're 3 guys walk into town. There's a lot of power in that. Right, it's easier to break and go in single by yourself, and there's like you can look cool or whatever. But everybody recognizes the difference is a group where everybody's cool, and also as a group they're very powerful. Like you can feel it, right? They're friends. You know what I mean? They got something going on, right? That's the thing. And people who just met is different, right? And so it's like that ability to work with others and to think about others and to have that, where you're finding the people that can drift with you, right? You don't want some guy who can't fucking drift, and you're just like, you're killing it, right? And the guy's just like almost hitting you all the time, or he's trying to show off, and it's like, oh God, right?
Oh yeah, totally. And there's like guys who will put stickers on the back of their car and say, "No, I don't want to drift with you." Because like they got their own like group going on where these guys are like in the group together, they know each other, they know what they're doing, and they don't want to risk it with some other guy that they don't really know is experienced or not. Like with drifting, especially at this one particular track, it has a reputation of which is Club Loose in New Jersey, by the way, has a reputation of people aspiring for the best and really working together, and just like, who's this guy? Like, we got our set of drivers that really work good together. This is our run group. And not only that, but like what you were saying, like everything works. Oh yeah. So there's like a few things you said. Like sometimes these guys will paint their cars alike, and they look like a group, And there's kind of like that style and like sleek sexiness of being in a group, and like everyone sees those guys and they're like, whoa, yeah, look at those guys. Wow,
well, they're doing something different, right? They're doing more than one person, right? And that's a different thing.
And it's hyper stylized all the way. Like I guess the performance guys are more of like they're competitively trying to outrun each other, or like going deeper than the other person, or even sabotage the other driver. So like, it's kind of weird. Like when you look at competition drifting, it's nowhere as cool. Yeah, it's a totally different vibe. It's very, very like kind of high pressure. Whereas like these ultra style guys, they're constantly coaching each other on how to be better and what to do better, or what they like. They express themselves. They express what they like, and they're like, "Come on, let's do it this way," and it comes out good because it's team building, really.
Oh, I got a great tip for you from what you just said.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there's a surf contest, okay, you hear there's a surf contest somewhere, right? Okay, what everybody does the same thing. When does it start? When does it end? When are the finals, right? So they want to see the finals. They get a good position, like almost like holding a position in a park or something, like with your, plastic or whatever. You're trying to get a place where you can see the best, right? If it's a point, or if it's like from the beach, you want to get in the bleachers or whatever that has the best view. And then you watch the contest, and then you go home, right? And you wait for them to come, and they throw champagne on them and get their thing and leave, right? No. What you do is you show up 3 days early and camp around there, right? Paddle out every day, because all the guys that are going to be in the contest are going to be out there. Guaranteed. Because they want to know the vibe of what's going on in that wave today, that, this week, right? What's going on. There'll be always that one guy who flies in, but usually they're out there. And you'll see the most famous guys, you'll surf with them, right? So they'll be in the water, and then they'll be laughing, and you'll see the best surfing before the contest, right? Because they're already there practicing their stuff, and they're watching each other, right? And that's free surfing, right? That's where the good shit happens. Free surfing is usually better than competitive surfing, and also you can get to know them. Like I'll be out paddling out, and then it's funny. I do this all the time, man. I don't know if anybody else does this. I go before and just hang out, and then just go out in the water. Even if you're body surfing, just kind of like watch them and talk to them, and just like you'll see the best surfing right there. And then the contest, it is kind of interesting to see which. Sometimes the best free surfer doesn't win the contest, and that's very sad. But that often happens, because it's just pure luck too, right? If a big wave comes, and then you have your position, like it's either your wave or his wave. It's like if you get one and then I get the next one, and so sometimes you might get a wave that's not very good, and then my wave comes in and it's just fucking killer wave. Anybody could tear that thing apart, and so it's just like fuck, it's over, right? It's over if you get the killer wave. So like that performance in free. So like for surfing, I would say is watch them before, because after everybody leaves. Sometimes it is kind of worth, if you have time, it's worth staying a little bit later, because some of the guys will hang around for a while, because they won't have anything planned. They'll be around for a couple more days. I've been out with like all the famous surfers, like, and it's just like so cool. There they are, they're right there, and they're just surfing, and they're just doing their thing. And you can see what they're really like too, right? Are they cool guys, right? Or are they dicks? You can totally see. Yeah.
Dude, there's so much carryover with the surf analogy and this racetrack, because like there are famous people who show up to this track, and you could see if they're good, or you even see them side by side with the people who do not drift competitively or at the professional level, and you'll see non-professional drifters are sometimes just as good or way better. And then in regards to like the good wave, perfect wave, killer wave, that anyone could tear it up. Competition drifting is pretty, it takes like a full day or a full weekend, and it could rain at any given moment. These guys go rain or shine. So like you could get stuck with shitty conditions where the other guy had like perfect conditions. Same thing with temperature changes throughout the day. Like the track's baking in the sun all day. This can be way more grippy, more friction.
Good?
Can we turn that off? Because like the AC is gonna mess up the recording. Grippy is good, but like if you've been practicing all day long,
yeah,
and suddenly the conditions change and you weren't prepared for that, it could screw you up. So that's pretty lame. What were we talking? There was another point.
I think we could wrap it up pretty soon.
Yeah.
This fucking good.
No, there's one more point. Okay, so the film that we're using for this recording is actually from a competition. And when you were talking about the guys that come early, so this particular competition, it was like, I think, I don't know, Friday was qualifying and then Saturday was the main competition. And Thursday was a practice day. And when I went on Thursday, there was some guys who were doing really shitty. And the practice day was optional. And a lot of people didn't show up to the practice day. But the guys who did show up to the practice day that were good or even weren't good, they were really good by the end of that practice day. Like when it came time to like qualifying, these guys were hot. And like there was some like guys who didn't even have pro cars, like competition cars. They just kind of had like their everyday style drifters who are really good. But like, because they learned the track and they saw the conditions and they were kind of like, they knew where to set up and everything the day before, they did so good. There's people who like almost podiumed or qualified. I mean, I'm going to be forward. Like my friend Adam in the mint green E36 convertible, he doesn't have any of those sponsorships on his car or anything. And I don't know if this guy competes at like the competitive drifting, but he went to the practice day and he was just killing it. He got ahead of so many of these guys who had like pro competition cars. And, it was amazing. Like, yeah, seriously, getting out there, even as a spectator, you're going to see some good stuff. But like, as someone who drifts, like the people who are out there the most are going to have the opportunity to ride the sweet waves when they come in, because you're there all the time. So like you could do really amazing things when you're doing it all the time. Like when you step away from it is when you kind of miss out on the opportunity to really get good. Is
there like I know in most competitive sports, there's people that are very fucking good, but they don't even care about winning, and they don't. There's other people who freeze and don't do well in competition, but they actually kick everybody's ass outside of competition. I would suspect that you're always going to have that personality type.
Yeah, I think that's always going to happen. I think I've seen that. I may or may not have seen that. Like it's weird because like with pro competition, I think there's so few instances.
I mean, what I think is not just personality type. I think we've all done it. Yeah. We've all fucked up in competition. We just got like, we were too nervous or whatever. We just didn't. You know what I mean? But there also is somebody who always freezes up. They're like so good, but then it's like right there at the gold medal, they just like fucking belly flop.
I feel like that's definitely okay. So what I have a lot of experience with is drift photography, and I shoot in manual settings, and I'll be shooting cars all day. But then there'll be a car that I really want to capture, or like even say there's a moment where someone kind of kicks the rear end into the dirt a little bit, and then dirt shoots up in the air and I like just missed the shot, or like I'm so surprised and shocked by how beautiful it looks that I forget to hit the capture button quickly enough. So yeah, there's a lot of freezing up, and I've seen like a lot of photographers. Oh yeah, this is funny. So like say it's a busy day and there's like a bunch of photographers in the safety bunker, and something amazing happens. and everyone misses it, and you'll have like 5 photographers like viciously asking each other, did anyone catch it, just because they want to see what it looked like in that moment. And I've had
those are purists, that they actually care, right?
Oh yeah. And those are the photographers are the coolest photographers. When they're just talking about each other's content, they're like, oh yeah, like check this out, check out what I'm doing, or like, oh, here's a tip for how to do this. A lot like the drivers.
I get so bad.
Yeah.
Oh God, get this. Yeah, you're not going to believe this. So okay, so my hometown was San Clemente, right? A lot of people now know that, right? So I thought that was like something I should keep secret for some reason in the beginning, but I consider it my hometown. Anyway, down below our beach, at our house, my parents' house, used to be Surfing Magazine. So Surfing Magazine headquarters was just there, right? Fucking, we walked by it every day, 10 times. And they had a dumpster. And the dumpster was full of negatives. They would throw negatives after they used them in the magazine into the dumpster. These are absolutely priceless pictures now that was in that dumpster. We used to dumpster dive in there because it wasn't even locked. We'd go in there and just get all these killer negatives and killer, like blown up, like as big as the wall pictures, just huge pictures of like the most iconic cover or whatever. And it would be just like for free. We could just get all that stuff in. None of us saved them. What? None of us saved these things. And even Surfing Magazine themselves would buy them and put them in a museum now because they're gone. They didn't even think anything about it. The Surfing Magazine, and I'm sure everybody then, was just short term. It's like subscriptions, it's money. You make that magazine and you throw it away. You throw everything away and you go, what do you have for me lately? You know, what's the next one, right? And they would just chuck it in the garbage and we would just pull these things out. And I have these great memories of, like, in my room was just these epic fucking, we're talking like amazing photography. Like the surf photography is pretty, even that in itself is an episode. Surf photography, like how it started you will be blown away by how it started. Like even if I'm telling you this now, you'll be like, what the fuck? Really amazing. But we fucking threw those away. Everything's gone.
Dude. So like I'll have an album where I'll post, like what the photos are that I think are the best, or sometimes like I'll go for like a very artistic kind of album that I'll put together when I put together my photo albums, and like say I want to just capture sunset shots, and I'll be shooting all day, but I won't post any of the non-sunset shots because like I'll title my album Sunset. And then I'll have drivers reach out to me like, hey, do you have any photos of me, that you could email me or something? And I'm like, yeah, sure. When I have time. Like sometimes I'm bad at getting back to people, notoriously bad actually. But I'll send them the photos and they'll be like, holy crap, like this is such a great shot. Like, I can't believe you didn't post this. And I was like, oh, well, I was going for like a certain stylized album. And they're like, but you'll just be sitting on this, like there should be a way that you could just, publicly dump this or whatever. And then I'll get criticized by other like criteria where like we're kind of pressured as media people to be artistic in a way and not just dump huge amounts of files. And this actually happened very recently with my last album. Leading up to my last album, people were complaining about all the other media people. I haven't been shooting this year. It's 2020 and I've been on tour. But everyone's got their reasons for not shooting. But like the people who were shooting were posting like very stylized small albums, and a lot of the drivers were like, I just want to thumb through tons of pics because I'm bored. There's nothing going on. It's 2020, there's a pandemic or whatever. There's nothing going on. So I actually went for this last album, big album, robust, many angles. I went to as many different locations as possible. And I think the final cut was 95 photos. Most of my albums are like 15.
I got an idea for you. I was just thinking. Okay. What was the guy's name in the 60s who used to take pictures of famous rock stars? There's like a couple guys. They were just like, and they got to the point where a rock star would only let him or her take pictures of them. Okay, that was it. They were their photographer. And whenever there was an interview, they would say, you got to get that guy. He's going to come in and take my picture, right? Because that guy had there was a connection there, and he knew he was going to get the right vibe and the right shot that would be, good for that, whatever that interview was, right? And the right vibe for that shot. And I was thinking, as now we're going into photography, but as a photographer yourself, you're a professional photographer on top of the other stuff, right? Mm-hmm. If you chose, like, the way that these guys got into that position was they would find a way to get a bunch of really the best shots of that fucking guy. And you have no idea how dependent stars are on a photographer. Because that is what they can do, everything they want. But if no one takes a picture of it, it just lost. Like those pictures in the dumpster. So if you're the guy and you can fucking nail it, these guys, there will be the top guys will do anything to have you around because they're going to want you to be there because they trust you to get the shot, the exact shot or whatever is the very fucking best shot. And that is a great position to be in. And I'll tell you, the opposite is very interesting too. Here's a great story. So I was in Bangkok, right? And Robert, Robert, like Santa Cruz Robert, right? So he came with this guy one day to Terminal 21 to eat, right? So this guy was a total dick, and I was like, fuck, this guy's a total dick, right? And I was like, I was sitting there, and then it was pretty funny because he's just like a total dick. I said, Robert, I'm like, this guy's pretty weird, right? And then he's like, he goes, he finally he knew I didn't understand why he brought him. Finally, he took me aside. He goes, this guy's that guy. And I was like, no way, that guy. He was a surf photographer, super famous. Like he's the guy who could get that shot. And everybody knew it, right? And so the guy was a total dick, but he could get that shot. And Robert's like, I just want one good picture of me. Like when you're surfing, you want that one picture. The guy who gets that moment that, you got to get that. It's not everybody can do that. You can't, not everybody gets that perfect shot, but that guy could do it. So Robert's like, he's going to do it for me. He's going to come and he's going to take that shot. And so Robert was super stoked. And I was like, wow, I thought about it. I thought that's so interesting. Like the guy, that skill alone, it brings, he's welcome in any group, no matter how he acts. Cause he's the guy who can get you in your best moment, right? That's what everybody wants. They're trying to, real artists are trying to create that moment, right? That's the main thing. It's not how it looks. They're trying to create the moment, but they need somebody who's going to fucking document it. Otherwise, it's lost, right? I mean, it's still there, but there's definitely benefit in keeping it. When you get older or for magazines or movies or whatever, there's definitely benefit in getting it on film, right? And sometimes it even looks different on film, which is interesting. Or you learn, you can see that shot, you're just doing this particular move and you can see it and then you're like, oh my gosh, I see what I'm doing. Or, you have some realization, right? So I think that could be a fantastic position because how do you succeed in life, right? How do you become, like, for example, photographers are like wedding photographers, surf photographers, sports photographers, but they're not thinking the right way. I'm always thinking like how to do the great thing, right? The great thing is you become the person who captures that moment, and then everybody was going to want to work with you, and that gives you access, and that also is fun, right? Because then the pressure's on, right? Then you're like, man, I want to be even better. Like, what camera can I use? And these guys, they don't give a fuck, buy this camera, put it on my credit card. Like, fucking just get all that shit. Whatever, yeah, fucking get that lens from Italy. Yeah, get that lens. It's like, get it fast. Because they want to get that moment, right? You become an essential. I bet you that the photographers of the 60s, I bet they were closer than anybody else to the band.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and of course, you need a good sound guy. But a good sound guy, it's difficult, but there's more of them. But a photographer, that's another thing, That's a special position, right? I'm sure, like, every president has one, too. Like, people that are doing stuff, they want that right. They want to capture the moment, right?
Yeah, I could speak to this like on so many levels because I've seen so much of this crap going on. When I first started getting started, I guess there wasn't a lot going on. I wasn't talking to many people. I was a bit shy. But then when I started to offer people, I was like, hey, like, or I started figuring out people's names, and then like on YouTube or Facebook, I would like tag them so that they could see what I did, see my work. And then they were really appreciative. They'd say hi to me at the track and be like, yeah, let's do some more stuff. Like, tell me when you're shooting. Like, people who are appreciative of me and my work, I'd be like, oh, let me work with you because like it's cool that you're into whatever I'm doing. I'm into whatever you're doing. And we would collaborate and build friendships and relationships. And then a lot of times people would like buy me drinks, or like they'd be grilling in between racing and be like, yo, you want to sit down and eat with us? You want to have a burger, man? Like you earned it. Like, feed the media person. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And other photographers that I see that like kind of what you're saying, where they hang out with like the really famous people. There's two
Doing the interesting things.
Yeah. And they're
doing the cool shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, so the famous drifters, right?
Huh.
Like the professional level people, or the people who just travel, like they want their special photographer, the one that makes them look really good. There's two photographers, Larry Chen and Robert Goodwin, and these guys they travel everywhere, and they're so prolific, and their lenses are right, they sit in the right positions, like they get all the good shots. They're quality photographers. They're both freaking out of this world, and everybody wants to work with them, and they travel with the drivers. Like the driver, they catch rides, like their travel accommodations are covered because like those drivers want that media person on on site. And I've had that myself. It's not something that I pursued too much, just because like I've had so many other interests that aren't drifting, even though or photography. Like I'm a man of many facets. Like anyone at Club Loose will tell you like, oh, that guy, like we'll like we love him, but we're lucky if we see him. He's always doing some crap. Now, like what I've done with my personal success is I get the shots that nobody else does, and it's weird because I have like a weird habit of posting things at weird times. Like and one example was, like, I'm friends with the community at this racetrack, and sometimes like these drivers will bring their kids, and this one kid, his name's Jay, and someone gave him a water gun, and he was shooting these hot girls with the water gun and chasing them around, and it was hilarious. It was really comical, and like some of the guys were even encouraging him to do it because it was so funny. And I had the eye, I saw this going on. I knew who everybody was, and they were cool with me because they have a history with me of taking photos of them. Like, not any photographer could get away with doing this, or maybe they could get away with it, but they're a bit intimidated by taking photos of people that they don't know, like not even in cars, like people just standing around the track. So I put together an album called The Pool Party. Of this guy, like they had a little inflatable kiddie pool, and the drivers are just hanging out because it's so hot. It's like basically racetracks are a giant parking lot, and you're hanging out in a parking lot all day.
You caught the moment, you documented it, you created an image, like a brand around that pool party, which didn't even exist, right? And you made it, and then you offered it to them, and it's like you did a lot, because they look back and they think, yeah, it kind of was like, that's what it was like. He got it and saved it, and now it's in this thing. It's like, boom, that's what it is. It's like, it's more than just one shot. You created a pool party, right? Because that's what they were having, but they didn't even know it, right?
Yeah. And then here's the crazy part. Because there was a child involved, I didn't feel comfortable posting it on the internet without asking the father's permission. So I go out and do like a lot of other things that aren't the racetrack. So I didn't get a chance to see my friend Hector to ask him permission for like a whole year. And then when I finally asked him permission, he was like, hell yeah, what are you talking about? Post that shit. Like, of course post that. Why are you even asking me? But, you know, like me as a responsible individual, you know, like I do whatever I'm comfortable with. You know, that's my prerogative. So anyway, of course I went to go do a whole bunch of other stuff, and I didn't get to post the album for almost another year. So now I'm sitting on this album for 2 years. And I do this with a lot of my albums. And sometimes they age like wine. But this time, like, I took the photos at a dynamic time. But when I finally posted them, it was like during the pandemic, right? The pandemic had already started. And then the first few events of the year were canceled because of the pandemic. Right. And I was like, I need to bring people's hopes up. And I posted that album, and it freaking took off. People were like in love with it. They were like, oh my God, like new content in a world where there's no new content. Right. And not only was it new content, but it was just fire. It was just like, holy crap, this is so hilarious. It has all my favorite characters from the track, you know, all my favorite friends, you know, that I miss so much. And that's one of the favorite things in my entire career, was posting the Pool Party album.
You know, I was just thinking of something. I don't know if this is relevant, but I know that, like, for example, golfers, right? Yeah. And this could be all about golf too. Golf is fucking great. For you guys that don't know golf, it's fucking deep, man. But if you did, let's say you had somebody who's learning to play golf, what people do is they say, like, I play golf, not so much anymore, but I used to always play golf with people who were a lot better than me and could teach me. So they would watch me, and then they would say, oh man, your feet are way too wide. You know, you're not doing what you did before. You're not bringing the club back like you were, you know, that's why it's not going that far. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, you used to go way back there. And I'm like, oh, did I? And like, that feels weird. And they're like, yeah. And then I would and it would go just right. So by them watching me and guiding me, it was something that, because if you're playing golf, you basically suck, right, in the beginning. Like, you totally suck. And I think that there's no benefit in sucking. Like, it just doesn't, there's nothing, like, for me, I always want to learn, right? I always want to fucking learn, right? So I'm like, I want to get better. And so the guys I played golf with were the ones that were like kind of teachers, you know. And then I would leave the course, and I would always be better. I would always know more. I'd have more things to think about, more ideas. So you as a photographer, what you could do is, by, like, instead of taking pictures of them smiling and holding the golf club, it's like you take pictures of them setting up the shot, and then pulling the club back, and then like catching that whole swing, right? Catching that swing, and then through, and then you, as you watch that will show them what they're doing wrong. Because I think I prefer the soft touch teacher than the hard touch. You know, like, for example, he shows me a picture, and I know that the ball went the wrong place, but if he showed me a picture, I would like immediately know what I did wrong. Or if I didn't, the picture would help me to think about it, and then I might ask somebody, like, what do you think? Like, how come what went wrong here? You know, and then they might say, well, you know, you look at your hips, you know, or whatever. And I'll be like, oh, right. You know, and I'll get it. But I can, instead of being overbearing and saying, you're wrong, you did it wrong, you know, that doesn't help me. Like, I can't, I think my childhood that was how I was raised. That doesn't not help me to learn. It's the soft touch teacher who can show me and let me see it and let me say, oh my gosh, I'm doing this wrong. And then I just can immediately go right into it. And then I'm past it, right? So it's like everybody has a different style of teaching, but by being a photographer, you, instead of just taking the moments of greatness, right? Whereas like the swing is done and he's smiling, he's got the perfect form. Everybody wants that shot. But the shot they really want is the one that's going to teach them how to get better. So it's going to be them setting up the shot, you know, or getting down and watching like, for example, like if you were down, like, let's say that the greens, they're very uneven, right? If you look at them really closely, they're uneven. So if you were down and you could see Tiger Woods, what he does, and the great golfers, they know all the different slopes, and so they're actually weaving it up one slope and then down another slope and then in the middle of the green, which you don't even see as a regular golfer. You're just like, there's the hole. I'm gonna hit it at the hole, basically, right? He's like, okay, I'm gonna go up that one just a little bit and then come down, and then I think it's gonna follow that line. It's gonna go that way. So, as a photographer, by having high quality, you could show those almost mountains in the green, that you can't see with your naked eye. And that will allow you as an amateur golfer to be able to thread the needle, right, with that putt, right? Because there's only so many holes in the world. There's like 18 holes at a course, right? If you know those greens on those 18 holes, then you can, when you go to sleep at night, you're gonna think, on the 15th, like that's why it's I always, you'll be able to put it together yourself by the photography that's showing them things they don't see as the golfer. I think that would be like super valuable too.
Yeah, and that's funny because I do that some of the time. Like, I don't necessarily show the general public, like when videos or photos where people are screwing up, but I'll actually go to the actual drivers and be like, hey, you want to see your run? You want to see what you're doing right, maybe doing wrong, especially in a competition. I just did this at English Town, the Gambler, which is like a competitive drifting that I went to go film at. And I was actually conscious of when I filmed certain videos and able to scroll through and remember where it was in the camera and show them on, like I go to their pit area where they're working on their cars and be like, hey man, you want to see your run? And then they'd be like, yeah, why not? Or like, yeah, I need that. Oh, that really helps. And they'll watch it and they'll be like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah, I should go deeper over here, or like, oh, I should, transition like a little bit sooner. And I need to get closer to that guy, like I'm not chasing enough. Oh man, that thing really sketches me out. Shoot. So that has won me favors where people like one, I'm building a relationship, people like that, I'm being friendly and whatever. I guess my building a reputation building, and also like they really appreciate it because they're doing something with it. And I'm able to show them not just what they're doing, but at the time that they need it during the competition between runs. And I know like when they're going to even be in the pit area, like I'm very conscious of all that stuff. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And I love doing that.
I thought of something else too. Like a final idea is by documenting the things that are limiting them, right? By documenting that, you will weed out people that you want to hang out with. Because I know for sure, like I took several people to Charlie's yoga, right, in Bangkok, and I took one girl to this yoga, and we finished, and I said, what do you think of this girl? And he said, I don't fucking like her. And I was like, why not? Like, there was nothing had happened. Like, there was nothing negative. And I was like, I couldn't understand. He had very strong feeling. He's like, fuck, I don't like her, I don't trust her. I'm like, what are you talking about? And what had happened is he had seen her kind of like what she could have done better, right? And so he was kind of going in there and saying, okay, do this, and here's how you can go deeper into the pose. And then she like stubbornly like pushed him away, and he could see a lot in her in that very moment. She didn't want to get better. There was no joy in her life. Like, she didn't have any, she just was going to go through the moves, what she always knew, and just, that was it. That was good enough. She was not trying to, like yoga, there's many levels you can go to, millions of levels, deeper and deeper, right, into the poses, right? And most people, they're trying to get better. Like, that's what the whole thing is like, as you open your body up more, as you strengthen your muscles, your tendons, you become more flexible and more healthy, right? But other people, they're just stuck, and they don't, and this is not just one area of their life. They basically don't want to improve, and they don't want to fucking see the things that they're not good at. They don't want to hear it, and they fucking want to cover it up. So by documenting those things, you will immediately see what kind of person you're dealing with, because they're going to be like, the people that are improving, they're going to be like, oh my God, this is gold. You just showed me what I'm doing wrong. Holy fuck. I can see it. They might not say it to you, but you'll know, because the next time they go into a corner, they'll fix it, right? Some people don't like to talk about it, but they'll do it because they saw it in the picture, and other people, they'll just be like, they won't like you anymore. Just try to avoid you because you're documenting things that they could improve, right? And I think that's also a great way to look at people too. So a lot of people, they're stuck and they don't want to get better at anything. That's it. Fuck, that's it. They're just there to do whatever they're fucking doing, and fuck you for trying to help them. You know what I mean? Like, really, that's their opinion. They're fuck you for trying to be nice. Fuck you for trying to help. I'm doing my thing. This is what I can do, and this is my track. Like, well, honestly, I don't even know what they think because I'm not like this. Like, I always want to see. I always want to try one more time. 55. I want to improve that move. I want to, and it's not because it's not. I just think that life is more interesting the deeper you go into it. It's just more interesting. It's like you get stuck at a level and that's it. You never do anything. I'm interested in like what is out there, right? Inside myself and outside myself. So I want to go deeper. And of course, everyone has good moments and bad, but that's my basic fucking viewpoint. And people that are not into that, it's just like there's a lot hidden with those people for me. And because that's it for them. Fuck. I mean, don't fucking try to teach them anything because they're going to hate you, right? You better just let them, like a Wolverine, just let them fucking be, because they're going to just do their thing and look for people that want to fucking do shit, They actually fucking, it might be hard. It might be an ego boost, but in the end, at the heart, they want to see more of themselves and of life, right? And that I think the other people, personally, my opinion is they gave up. Like they died at 30, whatever, They're still alive, but they're fucking dead. And fuck that. We can end on that or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's times when I'm sharing video with people and I could tell immediately that they're appreciative. Like, I think it's Dimitri Bruschi and Brian Wadman are on a drift team together. And immediately when I showed them footage of them together, they were like calling out to their wives and kids like, yo, check out these photos of dad, or this video of dad. And then they're like, dude, how do we get this off your phone and onto the iPhone or how do we share this? And they're like super appreciative. And I like being around people who are appreciative and people who like, I guess, share with their family. That's something nice that they could share. It's, being around positivity is absolutely something I'm attracted to. Like, if someone's not appreciative, like, why am I going to want to show them? Like, like if they're not hype about it or excited, like, I'm in the business of having fun. Like,
I think it's two different things you're talking about, but I see what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
The appreciative. I'm saying a totally different thing, actually. I'm saying like.
Oh no! I'm talking about something separate. Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about something. I'm like adding to whatever you're talking about. Yeah, but like
you gotta throw a bone, right? Someone's trying to help you out. Like fuck,
No, well, I don't really like like I talked earlier about like someone gave me a hamburger or something. Yeah. So like I go to where the vibe is, and I think like photography has definitely helped me see the world and see like where the vibe is and just take it all in and know where I want to go.
Right. And I was just thinking about something else. Fucking the one thing I learned from Miyamoto-san, my friend, he's the guy who taught me to play golf really, but he said you can watch someone play golf and their whole personality. He said, because that you just watch them, just don't say anything, just play golf with them and you'll see their whole personality. There's a lot of people who will cheat. The ball will land somewhere and they'll just fucking move it, or they won't count that point, or they might say to you, let me just, do this. I'm just going to, this here, whatever. You see their whole personality in a golf game, because it's one of these frustrating things that brings out your whole personality, right? So, as a photographer, you're seeing a lot more than they think you're seeing.
So like I have so many fans that are like hardcore into the raw footage, like, because I just like I filmed exactly what happened, 60 minutes of the day captured here. And some people go crazy. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. I love to relive the moment and being there. And some other people have voiced to me, they're like, you caught me screwing up.
Right.
I don't like that. Like what, like it would have been better if you just showed the cool highlights and put some music over it.
Right.
Like I don't care if I catch flack for that because like I'm doing what I'm interested in.
But I will say this. In that guy's defense, I think we all are like that at some level. Like we want to show our good sides. You know what I mean? It depends on if it's pathological.
Yeah, I'm not out to get anybody. I'm not exclusively showing screw up videos like Demolition Derby videos.
Around every time he fucks up, he's like, "There he is, fucking up. There he is. Oh yeah." Although you could torture him and do that.
Oh man, like yeah, so all right, yeah. So like where I'd like to end is this was like a chime time thing. And my role as chime time is to remind everybody where we're going. We're going to Columbia, South Carolina, and
we're in DC today. And we're gonna see some cool shit. We're gonna get some great footage. We missed the Martin Luther King protest yesterday.
Yeah, it didn't get rained out, but it was rainy for us.
It was a severe thunderstorm. Yeah, so we kind of missed that. But today we're here in DC, gonna fucking film a bunch of cool shit, see a bunch of cool shit, and then what's next?
And then after that, we're heading to Virginia Beach, and we're gonna be in Virginia Beach for I don't know how many days, like
Tuesday, maybe till Tuesday.
What's today's date? Today is 29th. The 29th, so we would be leaving. Where's all my calendar? Tuesday is the 2nd, so like that'd be the beginning of September. So from I guess like mid next week to like the September 5th weekend, we'd probably be around Columbia, South Carolina. And the big debate is if we are going to Hudson, Florida after, or returning north, or finding any other place. Like
Pittsburgh,
we're still deciding.
Philly's coming out. Philly. Jason's coming back from Philly a week from today.
Yeah, so Philadelphia is a prime spot. We're debating if we want to go further south before we go north. So we'll let you know. We'll keep you posted.
Yeah. We could hang out with Jason, though, for sure. If he's back, we'll see. Jason, you sloucher, fucking get back here. And then we'll cruise around.
Okay,
all right.
Wrap this up.
All right, guys. That's there's a lot there. I don't know what we call this, but there's really something here for guys. There's really something here. I don't know what you call it. I don't know what
riding the wave or something.
Yeah. There's some deep shit here, actually. I'm not going to label it. I don't know what the fuck this is. We call this the blank channel, the energy, the perfection, the search,
It's just chime time.
Yeah, well, but it's like the search. It's the search. No, but it's not about either one of us. It's the search for that juice in life, It's that search, that journey of life really is what inside of a sport, That's really what we're talking about here. It's like we're on the Hawaiian side, kind of.
Yeah, the secret
sauce. We're on the Hawaiian style, enjoying life and grooving on it. It's not like just getting up the numbers. I got this number. I got that number.
It's the secret ingredient. It's the secret ingredient for the whole formula. The whole recipe is pretty much dependent on this.
Okay. All right. The secret ingredient. All right, guys. Thanks for listening.